Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Not Table Talk here at Nutrex. I'm your host, Shawn Ambrosino. With me, as always, is the VP of the company, Christopher Waldrum.
Chris. I always called me that in a long time, but we can start today. It sounds professional.
But we call him something different. In front of him, he's Chris. Behind his back, we'll talk about that later.
There's a long list.
There's a long list of words we use. You know what? We wanted to do something a little bit different today. We didn't want to just sit here and talk about a product. You'll notice we don't have any products.
How awesome our products are.
I mean, you guys
could
already
get
know.
Exhausting.
You already know how awesome they are, and we do have some new things coming out soon. But that's neither here nor there. What I wanted to talk about is something you've been involved with. I've actually been around it a lot, but it is the sport of bodybuilding. I've had buddies that have competed. I've never, obviously, I've never competed. But
never too late.
Yeah,
too late.
Too late. I'm fitty, bro. There's no way I'm eating chicken and rice for 17 meals a day.
Bolay every day, though. You know.
Yeah,
still
that I
lean.
can do. Yeah, but it's like so. We're Nutrex. We are a sports supplement company. We do have a focus on bodybuilding. I mean, it's what built Nutrex. Bodybuilding built Nutrex. I'm not a bodybuilding guy. I'm a sports nutrition guy. I'm a
performance guy.
I'm a performance guy. I am came from football. Did a little bit of I guess pro wrestling could almost be considered like on the same par as bodybuilding. It's more about show than go.
Yep.
And then now, I'm in my 17th year of competitive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
No shit, I didn't know. 17 years.
17 years.
Nice, of cooking fools.
Cooking fools. Let him cook. That's so in the metal right now. Let him cook.
Yeah.
I don't know what it like. I don't know how it got there. Let him cook. But so as an outsider looking in, so like it was funny when I first got here. People were like, "Well, it's Chris Bumstead." I'm like, "Who?" They're like, "You really don't know who Chris Bumstead is?" I have no idea who Chris Bumstead
Tragedy.
is. I didn't. I do now know who Chris Bumstead is. And I hear like there's rumors, because now that I'm with this company that bodybuilding is built, I pay attention. There's rumors that he could go to the Open, which would be interesting. But we were talking a little bit earlier, and we don't think the future's in those mass monsters when it comes to bodybuilding. Like the Open class, that's what it's considered, right? Open. It's the classic bodybuilding, bringing back that classic. Not so like something that I've noticed about the classic look is it's not attainable, but it looks more attainable than
more relatable than a 300-pound off-season buffalo.
Right now, when you competed, how long ago did you compete?
2 years.
It was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. But when you first started and you started down the path of bodybuilding, who was your guy, number one, and number two, like was it the freaks that got you into it, or was it the fact that bodybuilding is coming around to that classic that you were like, I'll give it a shot, let me get on the stage?
Yeah, no, it's cool because since I started, it's all come full circle, and I got into weightlifting when I was 16. So,
for a sport or just to do?
Just to get my body in shape, I was about 5'6", maybe 165, which is big for being like an 8th grader and a freshman. So I always had a big frame. And some of my friends started lifting, and I was like, dude, it would be great to have big biceps. It didn't even cross my barrier because I was a skateboarder kid, and bodybuilding or having muscles was everything. Like skateboarding and music was everything against muscles. Like you made fun of those people, and it's so weird having it now. Like I play the guitar, I don't skateboard anymore because I'm too old for that shit.
Wait. I still
active.
skateboard.
You longboard.
No, I don't.
You
longboard.
don't do kick flips.
I've never done a kickflip in my life.
That doesn't.
But I still
that's
grind.
Not skateboard.
I still
longboard.
rail slide.
You roll around. You like the French bulldog, where the owner will toss you on the board and pushes it down
me forward. That's not that.
Cutting lines through the beach. But my biggest inspiration, like almost every other bodybuilder or person that lifts weights, was Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, Franco Columbu. And watching Pumping Iron was just this massive inspiration and motivation. Every day before the gym, you'd watch Pumping Iron. You're like, wow, they're just so iconic, and their physique was just aesthetically pleasing because they were super jacked, but it was like, wow, they look phenomenal. And then you progress over the years, and you get the whole race to the bottom. In this case, it was how big can you get? How big could you get? And the bigger the bodybuilders got, the more their symmetry was compromised, and you ended up with, and don't get me wrong, I can't even imagine what went into that, but you had these mass monsters that lost that symmetry, and just like the beauty of sculpting the body was just how big could I get, and that came with a lot of risks, which means more drug use, a lot of things that just compromised the individual's health, and then it kind of got away from it. But now we have the resurfacing over the past 5 years of the classic division, which really came out of men's physique, because men's physique did the same thing that bodybuilding did. They were super lean, shredded, small waistline. They started getting bigger and bigger, and now men's physique is kind of all over the place, where you have some guys that ideally would be the beach bod kind of thing, progressed into a classic or even an open bodybuilder that they just wear the swim trunks, and I'm not knocking on everybody or anybody that's in there, but they started to get too big, and then classic opened up, and it kind of gave people an outlet that liked the physiology of the men's physique, of having a tight weight line, bone shredded, but didn't want to get super massive. So it was that middle ground. And initially when classic opened, it was thought to be just like a fluke, like this isn't going to last, nobody's going to get into it. And I believe the first Olympian for the classic was Breon Hainsley, and he crushed it, just looked phenomenal. I remember seeing him, I was like, wow, this is the future. And since then, classic, in my opinion, and you have people like Chris Bumstead, who's our generation's Arnold, has just blown up, and now everybody wants to get in it. So it's cool to see finally a progress in an industry, instead of some sort of like regressive, just getting too big and losing like your overall symmetry. I think
where I think those roads diverged, and it happened to me. It happened. Do you remember I think it was the year between Dorian's first win and his second win, where he had those before and after pictures where he just
blew the fuck up,
blew up, and everybody was shocked.
Yep.
And then but Dorian still had symmetry, and he didn't have that big distended gut yet, any of that stuff. And then after him came Ronnie, and then that's when it's just like it was like a never ending.
Nope, nobody could beat Ronnie Coleman.
But I blame Dorian for that mass monster.
Yeah, the genesis of
that. Genesis, he was the beginning. That was I thought Dorian Yates was like, but I followed Dorian Yates for a different reason. I followed Dorian Yates because somebody gave me the blood and guts workout, and I was like, this just makes sense to me.
Yep.
So I started the blood and guts workout, which was just Mike Mentzer's with an extra set. It was like Mike Mentzer's philosophy of the one set, but you had to do two sets. But that's when I started following Dorian. I started paying attention to bodybuilding a little bit, but it was never my thing. Like the first time I heard Dorian Yates talk was when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I was like, oh, that's what he sounds like.
Yeah, that's Dorian. Holy shit! And by that time, he had already kind of like evolved consciously, And I mean, if you guys don't know Dorian Yates, I'm sure all of you do. But listen to the guy talk. He's a philosopher now, and his mindset it's incredible.
And it's funny, and you go back to Arnold, like going back to what you said about Arnold, Franco. What's funny is those guys, you could see them in shorts and a t-shirt, and they wouldn't like you would go, wow, those guys are big, but you wouldn't go, holy shit.
Yeah.
Where like if you seen somebody like, you know, Ronnie or Jay Cutler in their heyday in t-shirt and shorts, you'd be like, what happened? What did they get stung by?
Meatball, yeah, like a potato meatball.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's like, and I think that the problem with that, the biggest problem with that is I think bodybuilding should be about a healthy physique. Health should be at the core of it, and where open bodybuilding has gone beyond health, or not beyond health, but like has left health in the rearview mirror.
Yep.
And it's size at all costs. Like there was somebody not Nasser, but Nasser was huge.
Nasser was awesome. Yeah, he had awesome physique too, but another one of those mass monsters that was right on the line of like you're starting to look like a blob.
Right, and then one of the names that helped build Nutrex,
Dennis Wolf.
Not Dennis Wolf, Marcus Rule.
Marcus Rule, yeah, way back in the heyday. He was another one of the mass monsters. Early 2000s was kind of the peak of all this, you know, and Ronnie took it to that next limit because he just got bigger and bigger, high 200s, like 290 stage weight. People are just like, that's fucking unachievable.
Yeah, how can you do that?
Yep.
And now with the birth, and now like I want to say it's not even a renaissance, but it's like the bringing classic to the forefront. Like it's almost, I see more people talking about Chris Bumstead. I can tell you he won the last Olympia. I can't tell you who won the last Open. And that's just from my just the precursor or the cursory research I've done as far as bodybuilding is concerned. I don't know who won the last. Do you know who won the last Open?
It was I think Hadi Chupan. Yeah,
and he's a gigantic dude.
He's like, I think he's like 5'6", but he's huge for 5'6".
Yeah. So it's like, I wonder if they're making the same money. Like I wonder if Classic is actually more viable. Like is Chris Bumstead obviously is a superstar. Does the open class have any superstars?
I think this year it's been like really competitive, but there hasn't been a dominator that really came up. I mean, ever since Jay Cutler kind of bowed out, there hasn't been anybody to step up that showed clear dominance. Well, after Jay Cutler is Phil Heath, and I think Phil Heath is an anomaly. Obviously, do you know who Phil?
I know who Phil Heath is.
Such an anomaly. The muscle bellies are ridiculous, but open bodybuilding, it just became, I think, so unrealistic and to a lot of people grotesque. So they look at it, they're like, oh, that's disgusting. Whereas classic is like you have a beach body because you can't get too big because there's weight classes too, there are weight limits depending on your height. So it limits you to the muscle growth, which keeps that barrier. So it really, with classic physique, it all comes down to genetics, because to a certain extent, can you overdose on drugs and really push limits? You can, and you might get some kind of results. But with open or with the classic division, you can't push it too hard, because if you get too big, you're not going to make weight, and then you're disqualified. So they have those kind of parameters to keep you within that weight range. If
Bumstead entered into the open, do you think he would have a chance? Like, do you think he's brought so much notoriety to the sport of bodybuilding that he would stand out on that stage more than anybody else?
He would definitely bring a lot of attention to it. Would he be a viable competitor? I mean, it could take years and years for him to be able to put on that much stage weight.
No, but could he change it? What I'm saying is, could he go with his classic physique, go into the open and win,
make some damage,
and make people go, that's what the body needs to look like, and like basically just change bodybuilding, change the
trajectory of it.
Trajectory where there would be where instead of being classic and open, it would just be, this would be the new standard, because that's what happens, right? That's what happens is you get a new body that becomes the standard.
Yep.
So like
evolves into it.
So like it went from Frank Zane, it went from Arnold to Frank Zane to Lee Haney to Dorian to Ronnie,
Yep.
To Jay Cutler, to Phil Heath. That's kind of been like
the progression.
There's been some anomalies in there, like what was didn't not Nasser, but Samir El Sambadi, I think that was his name. He won it 1 year.
Yeah, there's been a couple
There's
one-offs.
been like a couple one-offs.
Mm-hmm. That's where we are right now. Is a lot of one-offs,
And it could be because bodybuilding's trying to find its identity.
Yeah.
And I think that identity is with that open look, or the classic look. And it might be time to just shift it to it. No, I mean, you make a really good point, and it all comes down to the judge's perspective, or whatever their subjective thoughts are and what those standards are. So that everything would have to be reconfigured around a lighter frame that is just much more symmetrical for it to get there. But there's some really big bodybuilders that aren't, in the 280s, that might have a stage weight of 250, that are like Chris Bumstead, with a very tight waistline, with great muscle belly ratios, that look aesthetically pleasing, that are going to start making a really big impact. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to be the bad guy here. And this is going to sound weird, and especially coming from our company, but do you think bodybuilding has a future? Like, the actual sport of bodybuilding has a real future, as opposed to, like, as we see the rise of CrossFit, as we see the rise of people actually performance style, as opposed to just physiological change. Because at least with a performance style competition, mm-hmm. there's an objective goal. Mm-hmm. There's time, there's weight, there's actual numbers behind it. Yep. Where with bodybuilding, it's opinion. It really comes down to what we think looks good. Yep, it's not a binary system. There's based off of points or anything. Do you think bodybuilding still has a future? I think bodybuilding as a mindset will always have a future, because people have the ability to push themselves to whatever their actual goal is. So I think a mindset of bodybuilding will always exist. Open bodybuilding has been on a downturn for a long time, and some people will say it's dead. It really depends what country you're in too. In America, I think it's died off quite a bit. You go to the Middle East or to Brazil, maybe it's going to be massive. So it depends on the demographic that you're checking. For some reason, the Middle East it's huge. Yeah, like Dubai, mm-hmm. the Emirates in there. Yep, it's like, which is kind of weird, because the Emirates is also where jiu-jitsu is gigantic. Mm-hmm. Like, jiu-jitsu is the national sport, I want to say, for Dubai. Really? Like it's so. I don't know if little divergence. Mm. What happened was the prince went to school in California, trained with the Gracies, brought the sport back and made it into like a lot of my friends go to Dubai and they teach there. Really? So they teach in schools, because it's nice. It's part of a program. Like, it's the army. Everybody takes jiu-jitsu over there. It's like it's part of the school curriculum. Nice. Things like that. So it's weird that, like, our two worlds meet in the Middle East as well. Yep. So I wonder what it, it's either something in the water there. Must you either want to be all show or all go. That's kind of what it comes down to. It has to do with culture. If mm-hmm. it's competitive culture, then that's going to manifest itself in many ways. Whether it's sports, soccer, or BJJ. Didn't they just pay $10 billion, like $1 billion to Ronaldo? Oh, I have no idea, but I'm sure they got the money over there. So I think they just paid Cristiano Ronaldo, $1 billion to play in their league. Well, $1 billion. That's crazy. Just became a billionaire to play soccer for like 2 years. Yeah, like something obscene. Yep. And I could be wrong. We'll fact check it, and you guys can fact check me later if that's not the case. But it's like it's something obscene like that. He just got paid $1 billion to go play there, mm-hmm. and it's like that makes no sense to play a sport for that much money, like, or no,
good
to
on
pay
you.
somebody.
Good on you, man. Yeah,
but
you got the capital to do it.
God bless you, bro.
Yep.
God bless you. Like, you know, but back to, you know, bodybuilding may be dying off in America. Is there anything that you see that could make it come back? Like, do you think?
Yeah, the current culture right now is literally like resurgence of accepting like a meathead mentality, and it's honestly baffling to me, because when I grew up, bodybuilding, weightlifting, it was not in style. And even if you weren't a skater or whatever, you looked at people that had muscle and you're like, ew. People would comment, you know, that I wasn't big. I was 170 or something. They'd be like, you look gross. And they'd be assholes about it. Now you have the youth culture, and this is 100% contributed to social media, TikTok and Instagram, that has partially, like, there's a positive aspect, and partially it's egotism and narcissism, that they want to look absolutely jacked and be able to gain followers and have that kind of notoriety and presence in society. So it's really impressive to see, and at the same time that's brought with it a lot of toxicity as well too, with the whole body dysmorphia that has been coming out quite a bit more lately. But it's really cool that people are at least putting effort into their health, because for so many years, like the youth culture, they didn't care about training, and now that it's become cool, I mean, there's more kids in their late teens, early 20s that train than probably any of the adults. It's a massive generation. So to them, it looks like bodybuilding is like fucking alive and well, you know? So it might be a generational thing if you're talking about millennials or Generation X or zillennials, what the prominence and popularity is going to be, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see, like, we have those kids with the trend
twins.
Like I think those are the outliers. But I think they have a massive following.
They do, yeah.
Massive following.
More plates, more dates. You know, Derek.
Yeah, more. Yes.
Same thing, and talking about real science. You know, a lot about steroid use, educational stuff, and people are soaking it up.
That is something that baffles me. People are open about steroid use now.
Never used to be that way,
dude.
There's always a secret, and bodybuilders are still like that too. What do you take? You know, they'll always tell you like the lowest dosages, and now you have so many kids that are just completely open about it.
It's so weird.
It's a trip, yeah.
But you know what I think that comes down to? I think that comes we've come to a point as a society that has accepted, you know, drug use to a certain extent. We've
made it a normality.
With you know, whether it be marijuana or I mean, marijuana is the biggest. But like, you know, now I hear people even talking casually about cocaine. Oh yeah, but you know, it's like, dude, when I was a kid, it, like pot was a big deal.
Yep.
Cocaine was like the biggest deal.
Yeah, you're a dope head. You know what I mean? All those terms. And now I feel like we're in like a 60s type period of a renaissance, where it is I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want because I enjoy it and I don't care what you think, you know, which comes with a lot of positives and negatives.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, I first tried gear in my mid-20s, but again, it wasn't for aesthetics. Mm-hmm. I had started pro wrestling, and I was getting hurt left and right, shoulders, elbows, knees. I probably about 4 times I got those sports hernias that I did nothing for. Mm-hmm. I just let it heal on its own. But like, you know, I started taking Deca just for my joints, you know. But you know, where that stuff was made could have been somebody's bathtub, you know. Like, but you know, whatever. And then in my mid-30s, I got on testosterone replacement with you know, through a clinic and all that stuff. Yep. But like, even with that stuff, I'm pretty low. Like, even with the testosterone replacement, I think I'm at 600, which for a 50-year-old is maybe a little bit higher than average, but it's still kind of
strong like bull.
It's still kind of average. Like, I'm not abusing it, but like, you know, I've taken it and it's helped me keep my energy up, but it's like, you know, the older I get, man, everything just like hurts.
Yep.
You know, and I did, you know, you're talking high school football, college football, 15 years of pro wrestling, 17 years of jiu-jitsu. It's like
1 year at Nutrex. Oh, the most pain I've ever been in.
Well, that's just my soul.
Psychological
that was
pain.
more my soul. That's more my soul than my body. But it's, you know, it's like I understand how anabolics can
be beneficial.
Be beneficial for sure. But the fact that these kids are taking them and talking openly about how much stuff they're doing, you know, it's like even calling yourselves the Trend Twins is like absolutely nuts, dude. It's a crazy concept to me. But yet it's kind of becoming more and more prominent in the youth culture.
Socially accepted, at least with them. And that's the scary thing is, you know, you have an 18-year-old kid see a 20-year-old kid abusing drugs, so they're going to justify themselves using the drugs. And that's the toxicity of the youth culture environment, is it's a follow a leader, and kids are so impressionable, especially in the age of influencers or creators or whatever you want to define them as. If they do it, then it must be okay for me to do it, and they don't know the ramifications that they're going to have. And at that age too, if you're like 20 years old, you don't fucking care until you're 40. You just fucked up your entire endocrine system, and now you have to be on it or you feel like absolute dog shit.
I'm that guy.
Yeah,
I got on the Deca and I stayed on it for like 2.5 years, didn't come off.
Yep.
Just because my body, every time I would try to come off,
start feeling like shit.
I'd start feeling like shit. So I stayed on it, and then after I did get off, and then all of a sudden one time my then wife and I were watching TV, and I started tearing up at a commercial, and I was like, what the heck's going on here? Go and get checked out. My testosterone was at 50.
It was a Prozac commercial.
It was ridiculous. And I was like, this can't happen. So, you know, that's when I started getting on it, you know, as an actual medication. But I think I'm the guy that screwed up his system. Mm-hmm. You know, I stayed on a unprescribed, unmonitored anabolic for 2.5 years, almost 3 years.
Yep.
And that just shut me down.
Yeah, that's the scary part, because they do it without any kind of guidance, meaning they don't get a blood panel done to see what their levels are at, their lipids, say their liver enzymes, if their kidneys have any stress on it. They just do it blindly, and the long-term impact could be absolutely severe. So that's the biggest concern with the youth culture getting into bodybuilding, is taking things aimlessly without any kind of foresight on what could be happening to their body internally, you know, and the impact it's going to have later on in life.
And these kids, the thing is what they should be doing is seeing where their bodies can go naturally.
Yes.
I mean,
at that age, you got 1,000, 1,200 testosterone pumping through your veins, bro. Yeah. Don't do it. But that's the thing, though. If you see your friend doing it, or if an influencer, and you might be putting in all the hours in the world, you're not getting results, patience becomes an issue, you know, and they want to have results immediately. I mean,
I want to know how they afford it. When I was a kid, man, I had enough money to put gas in my tank and pay insurance on my car.
Yep.
You know, these kids are
rich mommies and daddies.
I guess.
You know?
I mean, that is
even worse. Though, you have, you know, some parents of athletes that will give their kids.
Well, that's
these
what
illegal
you know what I was about
too.
to say. That was exactly what, you know. I didn't have that. Like, you know. I know parents now that buy their kids weed, that buy their kids beer.
Yep.
Where, you know, if I wanted weed, which I never did, but if my friends wanted weed, we had to take a ride into the wrong neighborhood.
Yep.
And
find somebody on the corner.
We had people that we knew that go to that door.
Yep.
Or, you know, if we wanted beer, we get one of our older friends to go buy us beer or whatever. But now it's like, parents are enabling they're enabling this lifestyle.
Yep.
And I you pray that these kids will like
come out of it,
but like at the same time, like these parents don't know what they're doing to their kids,
because the parents are kids too. parents of kids too. They're feeding into it. They're enabling it.
It's my generation. I blame all Gen Xers.
Yep.
Because
I've always said it's the Gen X generation that
we are
not
so
the boomers.
we're apathetic.
Yep.
Very apathetic, nihilistic.
Yep.
Not only that, but like it's like we're the first. I just saw this generation. We are the first generation that was 30 years old at 10, and we're 30 years old at 50. Like like we're still just like
grew up quick to stay the same age.
Yeah, and like I just saw this TikTok of these parents because last weekend was college weekend all over the place where it was our parents' weekend at college, and I've seen videos all over TikTok of parents partying with their kids. Like I'm like, what the hell? But that's my generation. Mm-hmm. Like we're still adolescents. And we act like it, and so we're almost like we're kind of. I think it's my generation it's my generation that came up with the whole everybody gets a trophy,
gold star, yep. Participation awards,
participation awards, all that stuff. And now that we screwed up that generation, now we're gonna go party with them.
Yep. Yep.
And I think
the damage is done.
The damage is done. Now these kids are all right. We're sending them off to college now, and we've armed them with nothing. Mm-hmm. We've armed them with no thick skin, no
grit.
They have no grit. They have no work ethic,
power of endurance.
They have their superpower is entitlement, and the real world's not going to care about your entitlement.
Nope. Yeah, if you look at generationally, typically Generation X parents were baby boomers, so they came out of a war from parents who were very strict, which pushed us into kind of the 60s revolutionary culture and early 70s, and you had people experimenting with drugs. So a lot of these parents that gave birth to the Generation X, they were either militaristic, religious kind of parents, or they were hippies. Militaristic parents conditioned their kids in such a structure that the kids had to rebel. So that's when you had like the 80s, that kind of culture in the 80s. And now those rebellious type parents have kids, and they're like, I'm not going to treat my kids like my parents treated me. I'm not going to subject them to the same thing. So they were much more, Generation X to this generation, much more lackadaisical, much more open.
You know what I think the real problem was? It wasn't that our parents were militaristic or too hippie-ish. It had to do with the fact that they really weren't involved.
Absent parenting.
It was like I had both my parents worked. Mm-hmm. I was home at 6 years old. I had a key that I had a latch key. Like we were taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And like our parents, like the only time we got attention is when we got in trouble.
Yeah, discipline.
Yeah, it was like but it was like if you're doing bad in school, you get your ass beat, and then you got to get your grade up. But you ask them for help when you have a project due, and they're like, figure it out.
Too busy.
Like they were too busy and too tired.
Yeah.
Because both parents were working. We were the first generation where both parents were making in the workplace making
women's
money.
Liberation.
So we had parents that were almost hands off, and that's where a lot of us overcompensated for that. That's why you have those helicopter moms mm-hmm. and dads that are like, picking up their kids from school and making sure they're doing all their homework. And then, why is my kid not getting this? Because there's 30 other kids in their class. So this is what happens. So it's like, I think it's our way of, like, dealing with it. It was to give these kids, I think that's what every generation does, gives their kids what they feel they didn't have.
Yep.
And so part of that is, I had to sneak around and do this stuff. I don't want you to have to do that.
Yep.
So here's some weed gummies.
Yeah.
Or now, or as we're talking about, here's some money, go get some Tren. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's tragic. That is tragic. It's the case. But overall, people are, and it's usually the younger generation, are taking better care of themselves. Not everybody, because there's still such a subset that parties, and that's the whole culture that they put themselves in. But it's inspiring to see, though. People take accountability, which working out, it teaches you so much, like full accountability. You got to stay consistent with something, and hopefully that translates into them doing better at jobs and not being complete jackasses, which maybe it does, because social media, if you're doing well on it, you don't have to get a job, or that is your job.
That is your job.
So you don't really know what it's like to go to a 9 to 5
13-year-olds making $10 million a year.
Yep.
We have those.
Yep. It's a trip, but we got crazy off topic there. We're talking about bodybuilding,
but it's not off topic.
On a crazy tangent of generations.
It seems like it's off topic, but it's not. Like it is all.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
He's a hippie, guys.
Oh.
If you haven't got it. Hero dose.
Mushrooms will change your world.
Hero dose.
As far as, but that's where, if we're bringing it back, which we should, what I don't think, I still think it's connected. Bringing it back to this generation and their, what they're given and the opportunities that they're given are almost, again, like we're talking about, could be a little bit dangerous down the road. But will it be something that feeds into the sport of bodybuilding going forward? Are these kids building a foundation in bodybuilding or in weightlifting that will keep the sport of bodybuilding going?
Yeah, absolutely, potentially. I mean, you have so many new, younger bodybuilders, early 20s. I think Chris Bumstead was like 24 when he got into Classic. Maybe he was a little bit younger than that, but he was huge for a 24-year-old kid.
Well, now you got guys like Sam Sulek, 21.
Sam Sulek, and before him, Dallas McCarver, who unfortunately passed away. But that should be a warning. And the cool thing about these newer age bodybuilders, at least in Classic, the majority of them, at least all that I've seen, really take care of their health. They get blood panels multiple times throughout the year. They go see their doctor, their physician, to make sure that their blood pressure or whatever metrics of biodata they have is regulated. So it's positive to see that, and that hopefully the younger generation is watching these people and follows suit. That you can do it safely. There is always going to be this barrier getting into the unknown that you do compromise your health, but there is a way to do it safely.
Well, what's funny is Arnold talked about that. Arnold, put out his stack. I think what he did though is I think he put out his minimum dosage stack.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because but it's
and that's what bodybuilders do though, because they want you to think like you could only use like 1 cc a test a week and get 300 pounds. Wow,
that's what he was saying. That's basically what he said.
It's all bullshit.
But I think a lot of these kids are looking up to those guys now, though. Like where we looked up to Schwarzenegger, even Lee Haney, sort of, but like not really. For me, it was Dorian.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was because he had like some of those tattoos, like
personality.
He had Yeah.
He just looked like a guy that would fuck you up.
Well,
Yeah,
100%. He looked one of those guys you didn't want to
mess with. Right. Dungeon gym. You know?
Like it was old school, like that old school mentality. But I'm hoping for like you said, that renaissance where they kind of bring it back to health. As far as bodybuilding is concerned, and I think the Classic is the only way that's going to even look at it. Without that distended gut, that, like, to me, that's like it's
horrible.
It's a horrible look. It doesn't look healthy. Nothing looks gigantic, but it doesn't look healthy. When you competed, how did you do?
Did well. Won my class. I won, I think, 3 divisions, like my age class, novice. And there's one other that I was in the open, which is like with everybody in there. I got 6th place, and it was I think there's like 20 or so competitors, but it was a great experience. That was my very first bodybuilding show, and I did as good as I could have done with the knowledge that I had. I didn't know how to pose, so if you look at my posing routine, did my best. But you got to have a pose coach, because posing is as important, at least just about as like conditioning and everything else. You have a super conditioned guy that's bone shredded, great genetics, poses like shit, he just gets fucked over, and one of the guys that had trouble still did really well, but wasn't the great poser was Ramon Dino, who is, in my opinion, gonna take out Chris Bumstead really soon, because he's a shit phenomenal guy. Brazilian. He looks like a young Phil Heath, just belly, little teeny waistline, muscle bellies, a genetic freak. But I did really good. It was a really awesome experience. And the cool thing about like competing, even if you're not going to compete, but if you have a competitive mindset, and this is still what I do, I always put like, I'm going to compete in the future. So I'm always working towards something. And I think in that manner, with any regard, to being competitive in life, it helps you progress. If you have a goal, even if it's something that might not even happen, I tell myself like, I'll compete when I'm 40 or something like that. So every day I'm in the gym, I'm trying to make progress.
So you're going to compete again. The plan is to compete again.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Did you see the boys? Liam and Jeff
both competed.
They both competed 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Did well.
Yeah,
they looked
both
great.
Did well. Liam won his division, and Jeff, I think he did like really. He placed high too, and he was in the open bodybuilding. I forgot what weight class. I don't know if he's in super heavy or not. Bone shredded though. Bone shredded. So bodybuilding's still alive and well. We don't have a ton of bodybuilders. We have experience with bodybuilders in the past, and not to sum up everybody into an archetype, but bodybuilders could be a little bit more lazy because they're just focused on bodybuilding, which I can't knock it, because if that's what you're obsessed about, then great. But if you're in like a work environment, we got to stay productive, and your mind is somewhere else, then you're not going to be, focused and productive.
Yeah, well, when you're cutting calories and
hypocaloric and your brain's shutting down, so you have no glucose,
and you're angry, and
taking a gram of test a week, so you're just pissed.
Well, what's great is we'll find out how I am, because I'm competing at the Olympia, which is right around the corner.
Yeah. Whoever's watching this, I'm going to be walking around. Come say what's up. Let's watch Shawn in a mankini cooking people.
Well, also Eddie,
ghee, right?
No.
Ghieless?
No ghee.
No ghee.
Eddie's going to be competing as well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a couple new Nutrex guys on the mats, because there's going to be a grappling event at this year's Olympia, which they always do, but it's great that it's here. Yep. I registered today. There's already 708 competitors.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think BJJ is probably one of the fastest growing sports in the world,
Yeah.
It's crazy, which I guess I can't knock until I try it. I got to try it out, but I know a lot of people that are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Mm-hmm. And it is a healthy lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Very healthy lifestyle.
The mindset of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people is completely different than any other sport. I don't know if that's because you're like a bunch of philosophers or you like THC, but it's like you told me the other day, they're much more of a surfer, relaxed mindset. So you have aggression, but it isn't like hatred or something like that. Well, it doesn't feel that way.
I say this like the cool thing about jiu-jitsu is it once you're on the mat, you have such a mix of people.
Yeah.
You have doctors, you have cops, you have criminals. Mm-hmm. And we all, when you're on the mat, everybody gets along, and we all have this one thing in common. But what's even cooler about all that is there is there's besides the brotherhood, but it's like you get like, I say this, pound for pound, I think the toughest people on the planet are skateboarders.
Yeah.
Skateboard, like if you've ever watched a skateboarder try to do a trick, and they will hit it over and over again, killing their body. I don't know if you know who Jamie Foy is.
Oh, of course, because I skated my entire life until in my early 20s.
So like Jamie Foy, like watching him like ollie this or launch ollie this gap.
Yeah, big staircase.
And he kept hitting, boom, boom, boom. Hit probably like 40 times. Kept getting up and did it again. I still think skaters are, again, pound for pound, the toughest people.
Think how strong their legs are.
Well,
have you actually tried to like mobilize your body in a way? Because I skated for a long time. And I could do like 360 flips and front flips. Quit for a couple years. Tried to do it again. Like your body, your brain, and your CNS firing, it takes months and months, or maybe even years, to get it. But their actual physical endurance it's insane. Mm-hmm. I was shredded when I skated. Shouldn't have stopped. And still be lean. I can skate on the half pipe, but I can't drop in. Yeah.
It is so
Especially with like a vert one, dude, where it has like 3 feet of vert.
So scary to me. Like when I skated, I was 200 pounds.
Yep.
Now I'm almost 300 pounds, and that and if you eat
a lot of weight with gravity, man.
Yeah, dude. It's like
law of gravity is gonna freaking smash you.
Oh, dude. I'll tell you a story about when I was skating at a skate park a couple of years ago. All of a sudden, I was on the ground out of nowhere doing a grind, and I was like, "What the
Grind
heck?"
with your back.
I was like, it was the fastest I've ever been on the ground, and I was like, all of a sudden, I was there.
Yep.
But where I'm going with this, jiu-jitsu attracts skaters. Jiu-jitsu attracts surfers, who are some of the most wiry, toughest game guys there are on the planet, with some of the strongest cores you've ever dealt with.
Yeah, core strength. Yep.
But it also attracts those former bodybuilders. It also attracts the former wrestlers, the former football players. It attracts the nerds. It's such a
broad spectrum. Yeah.
That
the women too.
Yeah.
Which is cool because there's so many sports that are like male dominant, and the women division of some, and this don't want to sound terrible, but it's not as interesting, so maybe people won't watch, and don't cancel me for this. But with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's some badass ladies that are fucking shit up.
And
it's crazy,
just as
impressive.
Crazy. Yep.
Yeah, so it's so cool. It seems like it levels out, maybe not levels out the playing field, but like equalizes like sports opportunity or something like that. I don't know. It's something primal that it digs into.
Well, everybody can grapple. We are born with the ability to grapple. If you put 2 babies in a crib,
grappled with titties all my life.
But you watch 2 babies, even like unconsciously, they start grappling. It's just our bodies are made for it.
Primordial instinct.
Yeah. I mean, but
so go grapple, guys. He's trying to. What's your gym? You might as well plug your gym while you're at it too.
Well, you guys can go meet me in Delray, Temple Martial Arts and Fitness. That's my gym I own. But I train everywhere. Like we're up in Orlando now. I train at my buddy's gym. But here's the thing, though. I think there is a synergy between the two ideologies, the bodybuilding ideology and the sports performance ideology, and I just think we haven't bridged the gap yet. I think there's a huge crossover with the philosophies of staying in shape, watching what you eat, working hard, having goals.
Yep.
All these things cross-breed, intersect, cross-pollinate. And I think, I think that's, as a supplement company, I think that's where our future is going to be.
Yeah.
Isn't just as a bodybuilding company, isn't just
one spectrum.
It's going to be the sports and performance spectrum.
And that's exactly what I came on for. And we have products like that too. They just haven't been marketed in such. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people, they probably take supplements.
They 100%
They probably need to recover because they're beating the shit out of their body.
I know for a fact that they do, because I've been
around them.
And like we've talked about it. Most of them take BCAAs because they haven't really gotten
evolved to essential amino acids yet.
Yep. Protein is huge.
Yep. What about creatine? Has that tapped in there yet?
Creatine not so. They are still scared of creatine
because of the water weight. Yep.
So, but
so there's a lot to evolve there.
There's a lot to evolve there.
Which means there's an opportunity to educate. Yep.
I think that's where our future as a company is spreading our wings.
Yeah. My goal is for human optimization, which is just broad. I don't give a fuck what you're in. There's something that we make that's going to help optimize that process to make you a better version
whether it's
of yourself. Whether it's running, whether it's doing kickboxing, you're kicking fools in the face, or grappling in a flying triangle, or trying to build bigger biceps.
Or pickleball. Which is massive. That's actually when I said jiu-jitsu, fastest growing. Pickleball stateside, last I checked, was the fastest growing. Yeah. Which is just mind-blowing too. Which is great. I love tennis. Never played pickleball, but sounds cool. Well, we need to get a game.
We got to get out there.
All right.
This is a good one. We went over a lot of stuff.
This was fun. This is exactly what I wanted it to be. Stay tuned, guys. We do have some stuff coming out soon. We have by the time this is out, you're going to be able to buy Outlift Burn
In a new flavor.
and a new flavor. We could say the flavor.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Go
gonna,
buy Florida Crush.
Florida
Outlift
Crush.
Burn. It launches this Friday, which is going to be your last Friday or so whenever you see this.
Yeah, so this will be out. This is going to come out this
Yep.
day after. So get Florida Crush. Greetings from Florida. We're embracing our Floridian roots.
Yep.
So grab some Florida Crush.
Like the last time on the video, the first person to comment will send you something special. So if you got all the way through, did you check the last video to make
Yeah,
sure?
nobody signed nothing.
Okay, well, here's another opportunity. If you got through the whole video, comment. Shawn's going to send you
Yeah.
something and we're taking out of his check.
And if not,
Deuces. Sweet, bro.
all right.
Until next time, thank y'all.
Thank you guys.
Later. Sweet.